Welcome to Breaking Biscuits, the experience. Today we're going to talk about the signs of a new season. Stay tuned. Well, Mark, welcome back to Breaking Biscuits, the experience. Last week we talked about kind of a dormant, we talked about different seasons and getting stuck in a season. And those types of things. Just to kind of follow that theme, because I feel like we really didn't get done with that discussion. You had a great metaphor as you were sitting kind of in your office there looking out the window and noticing that some of the trees this spring have blossomed, some are still dormant. But the reality is there was life in all of them, even though it didn't look like it. And sometimes in life, we have a tendency to think when we're in that dormant stage that nothing's happening. But the truth is life is there. There's, if we continue with the metaphor, there's when the circumstances of spring come forth, then the tree begins to bud and then the life begins to show on the outside. But it was there on the inside all along. So kind of what I wanted to start with today is like that transitioning piece. How do we recognize that the signs of the dormant season is going to end? And then how do we take small intentional steps forward? But what are some of the keys that would kind of clue us in that, hey, I'm not going to be in this dormancy state forever. And what am I looking for that might be these clues that the budding process is beginning to take shape?
We go outside all the time and go down to the pond. It's on the golf course, but I have noticed just yesterday we have different stages of even spring or the new season. We have trees that are barely budding. We have trees that have leaves already, and we have trees still don't have nothing. I think you just have to trust the process, and then maybe it's easier to say, well, if something's happening for somebody, it'll happen for me next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's as simple as that. Like, it's my turn next, but it's a struggle bus whenever you feel like it's time for a change. I don't know about you, but it just feels I feel like something new's coming, or I think that's what a season is all about. It's a new change.
Yeah, I would describe it as you start to recognize one, a mindset change. That is a great way to transition. Another is like when you say you start to feel something, it's almost like a new energy starts to come. And like, and these are all very, very subtle, but maybe a subtle opportunity that you might or might not even take. But when you're in a dormant state, it don't seem like there's ever an opportunity. And like, I'm thinking about your own life, honestly, as we talk, as we know each other so well. You know, you started doing this coaching thing here a while back. And in the beginning, it was just like, first it started out with kind of a mindset of, yeah, I can do this. And then some subtle opportunities. And then the energy to do it came. And now you're at full bloom. Like, you got clients calling you all the time. But that's a great example of a season of change. But it didn't start out with a full bloom. It started with the bud.
Maybe that's a good analogy of because I'm assuming, I'm not a botanist, but I'm assuming that all the resources for the tree in the dormant stage is stored in the roots. And at some point, someone has to call the energy of the tree to push it up the trunk to the branches start budding and blooming. And I think that's right. It's like, but man, once you get a bud, once you start getting budding out, you know the leaves are coming and the fruits following it, and that is a great feeling. But boy, getting stuff started and believing that there's going to be a new season in your life, that's not easy.
But how important is it to look for it, to be aware that it's possible?
I think it means everything, because there was 4 things that men needed to do. I wished I'd have wrote it down. It made so much sense. But men need something to work towards, wake up every morning, to dream about. So yeah, I want to speak to all the men that are out there. Even if you're working a 9 to 5, stretch yourself, because I have always been the guy that says, well, I'm going to be a life coach person or whatever, help people. Well, this has been a 6 years, 7, this has been a journey.
Right.
And I had people tell me it would never work. And so to me, that's the dormant stage. There's a thing I used to say: when you really have a dream of doing something for God, first of all, everyone's excited for you and with you. And then if you keep moving along, then you're the only one excited about it. But if you go all the way through, you're not even sure if you're excited about it. And it's like when you get to that phase, it creates a discipline. So the whole coach thing for me that's just a small picture, but I did it every day when I didn't feel like it. And I did it because I wanted to live in a new season in my life. And I knew it was in me, and I just don't know how I was going to get there. And it's just crazy. People call like, I don't even know, out of state and everything. So our motto of our coaching is seasons change and cycles don't. I think every man probably should have some project, something to look forward to. Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to I thought of an example in my business life as you were talking, and I was thinking about, can I think of a subtle example of something that turned out well, but in the beginning, it was just kind of it was a bud. It was something that didn't seem significant. Because of my business career, that's how most things start out. You don't know the end from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were in a state where we needed growth in our company, and I ended up going to a meeting. To be quite honestly, it was a proposal that was very, very insignificant. Like, it was not going to really change anything. But I did the proposal. I went to the meeting. It was in another country. And when I was there, somebody introduced me to somebody else. And that connection a year later turned into $1 billion deal. So it's weird how you just don't know, and you have to have enough belief and faith. I remember, I'm sure we all heard this saying, you can't steer a parked car. And it's in the most energy to get a train moving is the energy to start. So to me, the budding process, when I think about what's required on our end, we need to be nourishing the roots. We need to be taking action. And like the example you gave in your life, you didn't sit in a corner and go, man, I hope someday I can do some coaching. No, you went and got certified. You put yourself out there. You talk to people. So it felt like it wasn't working, but in reality, you were putting energy into the root system, so that one day when it was time, that energy would come up and blossom. And that's exactly what's happened. And I think people listening to this podcast feel stuck. They feel like their life isn't going anywhere. They feel like they've been in a dormant cycle for a long time, and maybe it is a cycle. But it takes energy and action and motivation, as subtle as it is, to get out of the cycle. And it takes time and patience. And that's the thing we're not very good at in our society today.
I just wrote this down. It takes consistency and perseverance.
Yeah, good 2 words.
Because I've always taught this, and you just made the illustration perfect. I've always believed we wouldn't have St. Paul in the Bible if it wasn't for Barnabas. Because he had an incredible encounter with God. You know, he was blinded, he heard him audibly, and God said, go to the community and they'll help you. He said, you have a relationship with me, but it's with the community. And when he went and he started preaching, everybody was terrified of him because he was killed everybody.
Right.
But Barnabas took him in and put his own name on, you know, he said, I vouch for him.
Yeah.
And I've always believed, Toby, that divine connections pull you into new seasons. And you just have to keep being consistent with what's in your heart. I guarantee you, when you're ready, it will find you. It's almost like when the opportunity, you prepare yourself. What is that thing? Opportunities come to the prepared.
Yeah, that's good.
So the reason you're not connected now is not that God's not working on your behalf, is that you haven't put in the consistent, perseverant work. You're not prepared for it. If someone, Bishop Ash used to tell me, you don't have $1 million in your bank account because God knows you can't manage it.
There's a lot of truth to that.
And you have to, there's a lot of preparation and there's a lot of testing for doing the small things. And there's a lot of, so speak to me, let's just pick a random dream somebody has and let's walk through the process. What if there's a guy out there that says, I'm really good at fixing old cars and I enjoy it? Because really, if you don't enjoy it, don't dream it and don't do it. That's my advice.
Right.
Don't do it for the money. Because if you do it for the money, you won't endure it.
No, there's so much truth in that.
But it's like you said, you took this small step of being faithful, of doing this project, but God brought a divine connection to you, pulled you into a new season that you couldn't get there by yourself. That's my point.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You can't get into a new season by yourself always. And so let's just pick a dream someone has. Let's walk through it. Like, if someone wants to work on old cars because they're really good at it, they love it, how would that look? How did they go? Yeah,
it's a great question. And I think, let's just say they wanted a business like their dream was to own a business that did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this goes to preparing the root system, right? So what do we do? What do we do to prepare the roots? So we have to learn. There's always a learning process. It's like, how do we become the best before the bloom comes out? So how do we learn? And then we investigate. We should have curiosity, and we should have connection. So what I would do is learn everything I could about it, and then I would find someone that willing to mentor me, or I'd go to work for another company that does it, knowing that's my learning path. But I would do something to learn and connect, reflect. And then this is a key one that I think we don't talk about, especially in business, but it's incredibly important. there's an aspect of self-care here, because you can have the greatest business idea, the greatest mentorship and connections, and everything's perfect. But if you don't have self-care, you're not taking care of yourself emotionally, physically, relationally, all that is going to be meaningless. And quite frankly, it's going to crumble. So you don't like put self-care on the side and go, well, when I'm successful, I'll deal with self-care. No, that's part of the process. Because when we're in the right mental state, Mark, and we feel energized and we're happy, those are when some of the greatest ideas and connections come from. We're like a magnet to those things. But when we're discouraged, ill, sick, just downtrodden, it's like opportunities feel like they're 10 million miles away. So those are the things I think personally I would do if that was my dream.
I did that. I had a youth group with 20 people, 20 kids, and I'm like, I can't do this. And we had a rather large church. It should have been bigger. And I went to Tulsa, to the largest youth ministry at the time. And I paid the guy to take him out to eat lunch to pick his brain because I wanted to know. 6 months later, we had 350 people come because I realized I needed coaching and counseling, and it's important. It's super important. But another thing, when you were talking, I was realizing, but at the same time, you have to have a healthy family. You have to do family things. You have to take care of your life. So what I do is when my wife goes to bed, sometimes it requires me to get up and do my dream, work on my dream for an hour. Or sometimes it requires me to get up an hour before everybody else does to work on my dream. Because I don't want to sacrifice my life, but I still want to invest in where I want to go.
Yeah, when you were talking about meeting with the youth pastor that was very successful, I was thinking about, we as men, we don't even like to ask for directions, more or less ask for help. So we got to get past that, we got to get past that help part.
You just stuck on stupid and hooked on ignorant then.
Yeah, right. But there's no shame in asking for help. Like, the smartest thing you can do is talk to someone that's already been there. And I'll tell you, like, I'm in, obviously you can look at me and tell I'm in the later stages of my career. There's nothing more fulfilling for me than to help someone that has a dream and like give them these little nuggets of what they should be doing to fulfill their dream. It's still on them. Like, they still have to do the work. And sometimes that's hard for people to accept. They're looking for like a magic wand or like what is it called? Pixie dust, that special dust that it just makes things come to fruition. None of that happens. It's honestly hard work and patience, perseverance. But these are the things. I love what you said. Sometimes I get up an hour early. Sometimes I stay up an hour later to feed my dream. That's feeding the root system.
Yeah.
That's giving life to your dream. And I think of, went to the NCAA tournament last week, and I saw these young men that are great athletes playing. And I'm like, how much time and work did they put in to develop their skill just to get a chance to be where they're at? And there's no guarantees of the future for any of them. But at the same time, they put the work in. And we're no different. We have to put the work in those areas of our life that are meaningful. And we don't want to ignore relationships and family, like you said. That's so key to our success. It's our stability, I think.
Would it be fair to say that, honestly, if you could somehow gather the things that we're talking about today, that you're not going to fail? You know what I also find is you think one dream is your dream, but when you get there, you realize that wasn't where I was going anyway.
I was just going to mention that. You're absolutely right. In fact, many times it's not. But the action creates the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just, I know a lot of people, if you talk to them, I mean, I shouldn't say I know a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people in the past that I've heard these statements like, yeah, I'm just waiting for this to happen. Or I hope someday I can do this. But sometimes you have to fail to find the thing too. That's not pleasant either. Is you chase a dream, you think you're failing, but you're falling into the very thing you were supposed to do all along. But the only way to get there was to go through this path of quote unquote failing, which wasn't a failure after all. It was a diversion to get you where you needed to get.
Did you know 70% of every college graduate will wind up working in a field that they didn't study for?
There you go. Exactly.
But what they needed to do was do the process. The process is the preparation for the promise. And God will give us a promise to bait. Bishop Asher say he gave you a promise to bait you in the process. Like he told Israel, hey, I got a promised land for you. But he didn't tell them about the wilderness.
Yeah.
And I kind of think if you and I would be very honest, we never dreamed we'd be where we are right now, but here we are. But we had an arrow, we shot it a certain way. And through relationship and preparation and not giving up, we ended up over here. And that's not a bad thing.
Mark, my 20-year-old self could have not written one thing about my current life and got it right.
No way.
Not one, other than I'm alive. That's it. Not one thing, not one circumstance, not one career, not anything. None of it was in my head. It all came through a journey.
And it was prepared for you, but you had to consistently pursue something that brought you to where you needed to be.
Yeah, and there's storms along the way. That's
where you don't want to get stuck. You get stuck in a season thinking, I hear this a lot. I've done all this work and nothing's better. I'm like, well, my how I think is like, holy cow, I don't know how far I have to go, but I sure know how far I've been and I ain't going back. You know what I mean? Like, it's a mindset thing. Like, sometimes you have to believe in your own self, and most times you have to love your own self enough to want to be better and do better. And what we're talking about today, what I was thinking in my mind is, what about all the guys that maybe they want freedom, maybe they want more time, maybe they want whatever, and they're stuck in a certain job, and it's a good job, it's a great job, and it does what it needs to do, but they want more. I think that's who we're talking to.
Yeah, another saying I always heard along the way was, you're the CEO of your own life.
Wow.
And so you have the power to change anything you want to. What we're afraid of is risk. We're afraid of failing. It's fear that paralyzes us. And so we don't try new things. And you can be irresponsible in risk, but you still have to take them. I wouldn't be here today where I'm at had I not took some risk in life, vocationally risk. And without risk, there's no opportunity to move. And I think a lot of people are just bound by fear, which is understandable. Typically that comes from a past failure, right? And then I think, Mark, when we hit, like, this is how I've always seen it. Like 20 and 30-year-olds have big dreams. 40-year-olds, they have dreams, but they're like, they either go for it or they don't.
They play it safe, like golf, right? They hit up, try to chip in later or something.
Right. And then 50s, you start going, well, I might just stay the course. And then 60s, which you and I are in, we're like,
just go for it, man.
Yeah, it's like, it's a whole different perspective. But whether you like him or not, it's irrelevant. But I mean, we have a president that's 79 years old. And I respect someone that says, I can do something that most people can't do, and I'm willing to try something.
Yeah.
79.
Yeah.
It just means as long as you're breathing, you got a purpose here. It's when we give up is when the purpose ends.
You can't give up. You can't. You can change. I did work for, I have a client that's from Ohio. He owns a car lot now, but he sold a trash company in Ohio for $22 million. Moved to Oklahoma. Spends all his time with his kid. His kid is like a race car driver person, and they just do all kind of stuff together. And I really respect that. And I said, Bob, how did you get here? And he said, well, at some point, he says, you have to take a risk. Every rich person you ever seen in your life took a risk.
Yeah.
And he said, but now people come to me with opportunities and I don't search for them. They come to me. And I thought, wow, if you just could get the vision of, if I keep being consistent. And he was a trash guy. And now he owns multiple businesses, he owns multiple lands, multiple things, but he's always been, that's the guy I want to talk to. So while I'm doing work for him, I'm talking to him the whole time because I want to know how he thinks. I want to know what's he afraid of. I want to know. But I heard this really cool quote, and it says, don't tell your dreams to the world. Whisper them to love.
It's good.
Because if you tell the world your dreams, they're going to shoot you down.
Yep.
And that's not fair to you.
That's going to create doubt, and you don't need that. It's hard enough with that. You don't want the negativity. And I would say again, I'm going to go back to my earlier statement. I don't know why it keeps coming to mind, because I know some people that went through this. Is it's okay to fail trying. Mm-hmm. It's okay, but that don't take that as a signal that trying needs to stop. I mean, most business owners and leaders that I know have failed multiple times when starting a business. It's just common. It's a learning process too.
It reminds me of Edison. He said, well, it took him 10,000 tries to make a light bulb. And he said, well, I just learned 9,999 ways to not make a light bulb.
Right. That's perseverance. That's for sure.
So the perception is, am I failing or did I just fall?
Yeah.
Richard Rohr is a great person. You should read his books, but he has a book called Failing Forward. And it's all perspective, really, isn't it?
It is perspective, I think.
It's a lot easier when your wife supports you than, say, like Job's wife. Like, just curse God and die, be dead already.
Yeah. I'll hang in there,
It ain't gonna work.
Right. That's really good. And I know we know men that are struggling right now, and their wives are they're struggling as well,
right?
But there's just not a lot of encouragement there because there's hurt and pain and all those aspects come into it. That's why taking care of your family and self-care and all that is so critical, because that'll deter you for a while. If you're trying to fix your family, it's pretty hard to go chase your dreams. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is none of it goes away. It's still in you. And all of it is a learning process, Mark. I mean, there's people that's gone through incredibly difficult personal relationship issues that through that process, they were able to really discover who they were and what they should do, and start successful businesses or ministries or whatever afterwards. So it really, like, God, there's no surprises. You're not like, God's not sitting up there going, dang, I didn't know he's going to do that. I'm going to have to rewrite his life plan for him. To him, it's like, yeah, whatever, big deal. Get over it and move on. You know, we're the ones that get stuck. And we start believing all the negativity around us about ourselves. And we start believing we can't do anything. And then, therefore, we just stay in that dormant state that nobody wants to stay in. We just want to energize your dreams today, honestly.
Yeah. If you're miserable, everybody else is going to be miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like God brought Israel through the wilderness, right? So they were in slavery. They wanted something better for their life. He said, hey, I got a promised land over here, which he baited them into. And they're like, okay, sounds good. But the wilderness was to get all the negativity out of them before they could go in. If I had any word of encouragement, would be, don't be afraid of falling. God's got to work it out. God, when it's time, it will happen, and you can't stop it. I guess that's what I want to say. If you put in the work and you believe, you can't stop it. If it hasn't happened, it's because you're not ready for it. You haven't finished your journey, your process, your whatever that is. But just talking to you, it's like, how many men out there are just frustrated with their life because it didn't turn out how they wanted, and they take it out on their family, their kids. They don't even know why they're frustrated. Yeah. Is that a thing?
100%. 100%. Well, we live in a society that measures success certain ways, and that we compare ourselves to other people, and that in itself could create frustration. But it's got, like, my advice, don't do that. This is your journey, and your journey matters. It doesn't have to be grandiose, massive. You don't have to be famous or rich. It's what's in your heart that fulfills you, and you start there. It goes back to that whole metaphor about the tree, and we just have to focus on that. So as you can see, we lost Mark, but that's our cue that we're toward the end of the podcast. So,
well, I'm still here. It's a great discussion, though.
Yeah. So we can hear you. We just can't see you, but we are out of time, and this went super fast. But we just want to encourage everybody to like these podcasts, comment them, share them. You know, we're using our life experience to try to help others. We're just kind of cracking the surface when we have these discussions. But we believe in you. We believe that if you put the work in, there's opportunities for your life to bloom and to fulfill every dream that you have inside of you. And we just want to encourage you. Comment. We'll respond. And we can't wait to talk to you again.
Yes.
So any last thoughts, Mark?
Just believe and love yourself enough to know that you're worthy of it. You're worthy of something better. Don't let life tell you who you are. You tell life who you are.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next week, this is Breaking Biscuits, the experience. God bless you. We both love you a lot, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.